The US Vice President Joe Biden is visiting Israel. Mr. Biden has met Israel's President Netanyahu in Tel Aviv. Later, he will also meet with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Let's get more on all of this with our reporter Gregg Carlstrom, who is in Tel Aviv. Greg, good to have you with us. Israel was, of course, one of the biggest critics of the Iran nuclear deal, largely forged by the United States. So no doubt they are now making the point further that it was really a mistake, given what's happened with the missile tests.
They will, absolutely. We're waiting to hear exactly what Prime Minister Netanyahu has to say after this meeting with the Vice President later on. But he was a critic of this deal. Not only him, it was one of the rare things that united the political spectrum in Israel and the public as well. Everyone was largely against this deal. So this missile test will be seen as provocative, not only because, as Ali said, you have Iranian officers talking about missiles that can hit Israel, but according to the Iranian Fars news agency, inscribed on these missiles in Hebrew was the phrase, Israel must be wiped out. It's not the only thing that Israel has taken issue with that Iran has done in recent months. Last month, Iran welcomed a delegation from Hamas, the Palestinian militant group Hamas, to Tehran. The two of them had a falling out years ago over Hamas's stance on the Syrian civil war, but they're trying to now patch up their relationship. Also last month, the Iranian ambassador in Beirut offered $7,000 to the family of any Palestinian who was killed carrying out an attack against Israel. So Netanyahu, no doubt, when he gives his statement with Biden in a short time, is going to point to all of this and hold it out as proof that this nuclear deal was a mistake.
Indeed, and as you mentioned, American Vice President Joe Biden is in Israel. How will this affect his talks with Netanyahu?
Well, Iran was always going to be the main focus of these talks. Biden is not here really to talk about the peace process or the Palestinian issue. He's here to talk about military aid, the $3 billion a year in military aid that the U.S. provides to Israel. Israel wants an increase in that, essentially as compensation for the Iran deal being signed. And so reportedly, Prime Minister Netanyahu first asked for about $5 billion a year. The U.S. said that was too much. They're now negotiating sort of a compromise figure of about $4 billion. And some of that money, in addition to being spent, on tanks and fighter jets and things like that, some of that is spent on missile defense. Israel and the U.S. have both been developing a program called Arrow. It's a missile defense system meant to defend against exactly the sorts of medium and long-range ballistic missiles that Iran has been developing. And there was a successful test of that system earlier this year. So that's going to be a key focal point of these discussions, is exactly how much money the U.S. is going to provide for these programs in the future.
Gregg Carlstrom in Tel Aviv, thank you.